Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, with our main topic today. We're discussing today, the domestic tourism in Egypt, and especially how Egyptians are spending the feast days and the holiday during the week of the feast. So to shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to have this phone with Mr. Yahya Abdel, the former advisor to the former advisor for Ministry of Tourism. Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Anna.
Well, happy Eid to you and to your family first, we would like to know what is the program that the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities are providing for the Egyptians during the holiday of the vacation of the Eid al-Fitr or the Feast of Sacrifice.
Well, actually, Eid Mubarak to you and to, Arabs all over the world and Muslims as well. Really, the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, have, a very competitive program for, us in Egypt here to celebrate and for our visitors as well. So the results, has been checked up all the way on the Red Sea and the Mediterranean. Egypt has excellent results in beaches, stretching all the way from El Arish to Port Said to Ras Al Bar, Alexandria, and all the way to Alamein and Marsa Matruh. There is as well, the results in Marsa Alam and Hagara and Sharm el-Sheikh on the Red Sea resorts. And we have efficient and competitive programs and the playgrounds all the way on the River Nile. So the ministry planned, the parks and the programs, for the visitors and for the locals as well. And Egypt Air is participating for to make it accessible to reaching these resorts for around over 300 flights during Eid vacation and festivals. So
yes.
There is great preparation, for us to celebrate this year, inshallah.
Yes, Mr. Abdel Kader, what are the most places that Egyptians prefer to go during the feast vacation? And especially the feast is coming this year at the start of the summer season. Tell us about the places that Egyptians prefer to go. Is it more to the beaches or the gardens or the what do they prefer?
Well, actually, for the Cairo metropolis, and for Cairo needs, we have great, opportunities. El Gezira, with its green parks and large vegetation, and and promenade. So this is one point, and then the Qanat Reservoir, it has been developed over 2 centuries ago. It's this is the playground for the Cairo inhabitants and dwellers. But on the Mediterranean, we have the excellent resorts and beaches, and there are affordable ones. And then at Alamein and Marsa Alam and North Coast, there is as well the upscale resorts that provide price competitiveness, alternatives as well, recreation facilities, entertainment, music, and gala dinners. So there is a variety of activities for the Egyptians to choose between.
Yes, Mr. Abdel Kader, there was some places in Egypt that was long ago very famous as summer, as Egyptians used to spend their summer vacation there. But for years we didn't hear a lot about it because it was not developed. Like, for example, let me raise an example, like Ras Al Bar. Ras Al Bar was a very unique place, and long ago all Egyptians and especially classy people or rich ones used to spend the vacation there, and famous people used to have cabanas on the beach. But for years we didn't hear anything about Ras Al Bar. But after the developing work that took place in Ras Al Bar, now we see amazing pictures there, and I always hear from my friends and relatives, many of them going to spend their vacation in Ras Al Bar, and there are very famous hotels there now. So tell us about the new places that came back to the map of the domestic tourism in Egypt.
Well, actually, you're quite right. Like really the current governor, like Ms. Maawad, she developed the area, like competitively. Now they have sophisticated 5-star hotels.
Yes.
And an excellent like villa, like that's developed across the Mediterranean resort and beach, like Ras Al Bar and Elizabeth and all this region. And then we have an excellent railway services now that links Ras Al Bar to the rest of Egypt. And historically, Ras Al Bar is the vacation center and the like summer vacation for most people living in the Delta. Mansoura and Dumyat and Kafr Sheikh.
Yes.
On both sides, so this is like the break ground. But now, like I have many friends, and me myself, I've been there many times, and they have an excellent tourist facilities for locals and for regional visitors as well.
Yes, Mr. Abdel Kader, you've just mentioned a very important point that each place or each beach here in Egypt, the people who are living near this beach is going to this, like you've mentioned, people from Mansoura or Mit Ghamr, they governorate, they go to, for example, Ras Al Bar. Others go to Alexandria, others go to, for example, to Marsa Matruh. It goes back to the where they live. So this is a very important point, of course. So what is the importance of domestic tourism in Egypt?
Well, really domestic tourism worldwide plays a vital role in developing the local economy and the gross domestic product as well, because like people when they go, some of them they rent like houses, apartments, villas, cabanas, as you already mentioned, and some of them they own it, and then there's services over there, like the food and beverage and retail and shopping and the beach activities, like rentals of recreational equipment and parasailing and diving and boats. And the resorts and entertainment. So it promotes the local economy, and this is very dynamic and very energetic. And most governors now in Egypt are working closely. I mean, last week the governor of Aswan is opening, like the new promenade, the walkway that President Sisi requested to be developed 2 years ago. So it's going to be stretching all the way from Cairo, like 1,000 kilometers, all the way up to Luxor and Aswan. So all this promotes and develops local tourism, which is a great boon and boost for international tourism as well, because visitors from outside Egypt, they like to come and enjoy the local and traditional practices that the locals do.
Yes, Mr. Abdel Kader, you've just mentioned the promenade. Yes, in Aswan there is the Nile Promenade, and also here in Cairo, the Nile Promenade is now a very interesting place for Egyptians to go. So there are several projects that have been implemented. And it added to the map of the tourism in Egypt. So tell us about this point, please.
Well, really, tourism development requires, like having transportation, accommodation, services. So, for example, like Minister of Transportation, Mr. Kamil Wazir, is developing an excellent network of railway stations that will stretch soon from Ain Sokhna all the way up to Marsa Matruh. This is going to be the bullet train. And then we have, like the access of the railways, the Talgo going all the way from Alexandria to Luxor and Aswan, and the wagon leave for visitors as well. So this is required, like billions of budget and sophisticated work to make it accessible to visitors on local and international scale. And again, we have the hotels. There's like lots of hotels that are going to open soon in Egypt, Not only the 5-star and the luxury one, but 3- and 4-star chains are working on this as well. So this is some of the facilities we need, and that's why we have, an upscale development, our local tourism facility.
Yes, what was the plans or the programs put by the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities to attract the domestic tourism or local tourism inside Egypt? And what are the most important places which Egyptians prefer to visit during the vacation of the feast?
Well, luckily, the feast, the Eid this year coincides with the summer season, and most of, students and their families are released with the end of the exams. So now, they have, the summer vacation break that will stretch all the way from June up to October on the Mediterranean and the Red Sea beaches and resorts. So they go there, and enjoy all the facilities, activities, like the diving and snorkeling and taking the boats to ride. And I have friends that called me yesterday from the North Coast, and they say how mild is the weather during the day and how nice it is in the evening. And they expect it's going to have concerts, festivals, entertainment, gala dinners and events. So summer vacation in Egypt is a great opportunity for us to recreate and for international visitors to arrive as well. We have now current flights from Romania to Marsa Matruh. We have Burj Al Arab Airport as well. We have international visitors that they love annually to come and spend their vacations and holidays at Al Alamein sophisticated resorts.
Yes, also, Mr. Abdel Kader, also during the feast, Egypt Air have explained in a statement that it is operating already 78 trips to Sharm el-Sheikh, 82 trips to Hurghada, 66 trips to Luxor, 74 trips to Aswan, bringing the total number of trips to 300 during this month, and also during the feast vacation. So how do you see also the importance of intensifying the flights in order to boost the domestic tourism?
Well, actually, this is so vital because, local transportation and networking with the resorts that's in remote areas like Marsa Alam and Sham and, St. Catherine's and Arish, all these regions, they need an efficient and convenient way of communication and transportation. That's why Egypt Air is doing operating over 300 flights during the Eid vacations, and as well they have charter flights, flying 48 flights per week from Italy, from Europe, from Germany. So it's really promoting travel to Egypt on a local and international scale as well.
Yes. Also, what are the facilities that the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities provide to visitors during the feast vacation? The entrance fees for museums, for gardens. Also, for example, in the district of Maadi here in Cairo, we have the Wadi Degla, which attracts hundreds and thousands of visitors and youth, especially youth. And the entrance ticket is very cheap per person.
Well, yeah, really the Ministry of Youth associated with Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities and Ministry of Cultures, they all, during the Eid festivals, they develop programs and tours and expeditions for students and young men and women to go and enjoy visiting these locations, to be more familiar with Egyptian history, civilization, and culture. And that's why they have reduced, rates for them to come and visit these places and, become aware and more knowledgeable and enjoy their vacations as well. So this is a collective, project managed really by the government and the ministers. So this is an excellent venture and approach from them.
Yes, Mr. Abdel Kader, as we've mentioned, that there are developing work and projects that are taking place, restoration work and that is and renovation that is taking place in the historic places. How does this attract more Egyptians to visit these places? Like, for example, when the Egyptians hear that there are renovation and the renovation work that is taking place, for example, in St. Catherine, other renovation work that is are taking place in the old Egyptian museum. You know, did you get me? How does this attract again, or as if it's a new place for the Egyptians? They already know it, but when there are renovation and restoration work taking place, it attracts more, isn't it?
Yes, you know, like definitely, if you look, you know, like at Al Fustat area as well.
Yes.
You know, like 5 years ago, you know, like really it was, you know, like a different story. Now, you know, like it's so bright, it's so organized, it's so, you know, like civilized. And we have Al Fustat Museum for Civilization. We have the craftsmen and artisan, you know, like shops, you know, like and studios. And we have a beautiful lake, and we have an area for conducting an events and concerts and entertainment as well. So the redevelopment, you know, like, and the restoration of that area has been so beneficial. And, you know, like, remember there was an area, you know, like, where the set fire, you know, like in the leftovers, and that was so detrimental to the environment and the air quality of Cairo, you know, like as well. So this has upgraded the region, as well as you mentioned, you know, like other locations, you know, like rather than start that under renovation and restoration. So this is an excellent job. And all Cairo, if you go down to Khedive Cairo and you see the restoration and in progress, you know, like for the building and the mansions. So all this leftover, you know, like, and facelifting of all Cairo is necessary to keep it for current and future generations as well, inshallah.
Yes, Mr. Abdel Kader, every now and then, for years now, we hear that Egypt or there is a very famous touristic site for example, in the United States or in London or in Paris, that is saying that Egypt is one of the very important destinations that person or tourists should visit. What is the importance of this surveys?
Well, really, this is true because myself, I worked for the Ministry of Tourism in the West Coast and in the East Coast, and you know, like many, you know, like locations and museums in the West, they obtain and acquire Egyptian antiquities that they like to display to their population. So they are so fascinated by Egyptian culture, civilization, yes, heritage, and archaeology that they love to come and see the cradle of civilization itself, and that's why, yes, inshallah, we'll have a great season this year.
Yes, I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your valuable information, Mr. Yahya Abdel Kader, advisor to the former Minister of Tourism. Thank you very much for joining us over the phone. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a short break and I'm going to be back with you.